solutions, if you will. Well, hey, welcome to the video here. One of the things that kind of bothered me when I first got started in this thing of advancing my character beyond 75 was this notion that, oh, hey, well, that's another thing too. I don't know if you guys have ever had this happen, but like anytime you come back out of the internet, all of your stuff kicks on inside of Star Wars: The Old Republic. I don't know exactly what the story is on that, but I do know that like when you come back out, all of a sudden your character starts running around, you know, like in a circle or something, or going this way or whatever. And then they might even like run off the edge of the map or into something like no business in, and then all the stuff just pops up. I'm guessing that when you come out of the, you know, for those of us that got more than one monitor, flex, then you come out of the internet, and I've done it on pretty much every Internet Explorer you could have on a Windows machine. It blows up, and then all of a sudden you're doing all this stuff, and I guess you saw that where the stuff popped up. Well, if you hit like all three keys, the ZXC, ASD, QWE, if you hit all those three at the same time, what it does is it, for whatever reason, it all stops. You know, he stops running around in circles, she stops running, whatever you've got there. But a lot of times they'll just sit down, at which time then you hit escape however many times necessary to get all that stuff off the screen. There's a little hint for you. You shouldn't have to do it, but you know, sometimes game developers don't always make their stuff to work with everything out there. I'm guessing the presumption is you're always going to be looking at this particular screen, and it's going to cover your entire computer, and you're never going to see anything else. That obviously is a, well, that's a presumption. It's probably shouldn't be taken literally. Okay, let's get into this. In your character, and I'm assuming you can see this, maybe assuming too much, but you know, you got all these different things you're wearing. When you hit 75, you may or may not be wearing very good gear. It might be fine for the moment. Usually, when people get there, it's around 268. But currently, the number, and that 268 comes from your item rating up here. I don't know if you see that there. Item rating. But 306 is the number you want to be at right now, or the number you want to be setting on at this particular 6.1, I believe it is, 6.01. It's somewhere on the screen here. I can't find it. But right now it's 306, and not only is it 306, but there's a lot of different things that you can do to your character to you know, boost them up. One of those things that you can boost your character up with is this little amplifiers guy. And you can move that down so you can see all the other different pieces. But you have amplifiers. It's under your character screen here, and it's going to show you all the amplifiers that you currently have loaded. Now, if you really want to dig into it, like for example, somewhere something has a successful archaeology loaded on it. Successful archaeology 1.50, and it's just like in the regular game. You know, like if you've got a blue, it's not as good as a purple. If you've got a purple, it's not as good as a gold or yellow, whichever one you want to call it. And the green is the lowest of all of them as far as effectiveness. So, like using this particular one here on the side, you can like click on this button here to increase its ability, which I don't want to play around with that. And you can like find out, you know, what you've got by coming over here. So you want to take a look at this particular piece of equipment, your hat, headgear, whatever you want to call it. You're going to right click your headgear with a control key down, you know, control right click, and then it brings up your headgear there. You've got you know, your little piece there, another little piece, another little piece. Now, I'm not getting into the technical names for this stuff because I want to make this like as simple as possible. You know, one of the things that aggravates me a lot is these people that get on and use all of this jargon. You know, the only thing I can figure is they don't have anything else in their existence that really makes them significant. So they're going to try to put everybody else in this box where you don't understand what I'm saying, so I'm cool. Look, I'm trying to make this as simple as possible. Yes, I know it's an armoring. Yes, I know that's a mod. And yes, I know that's an enhancement, but not everybody's at that place. And so we're going to cover that in time, but for right now, I think it's important. You can't put a mod in this slot, so it's not like anybody's going to accidentally drag one up here and it goes in this slot. So each one of the items that's up here, with the exception of the enhancement, has some kind of a little amplifier attached to it. And if you want to know what that amplifier does, then you can hover over that and it'll tell, assuming your mouse stays where it is, it'll tell you what that is. It says that particular amplifier increases the chance to succeed on slicing missions. So like if you send your people out on a little slicing mission, you hit the B key down here, and assuming you had slicing, which I don't, which is kind of funny because why would I have this? Well, because I haven't done any of this, fixing this up on this character. So we'll get back to that. But assuming I had that mission, I could send somebody out on it, and when they went out on it, they'd have a better chance to succeed on their mission. And so that's kind of what that does. Now, the point there was like, say for example, like I just mentioned, like when we took a look at this, I don't have slicing. I got synth weaving, archaeology, and underworld trading. So there's I'm not getting a benefit from this. It's kind of neat, but it really doesn't do me any good. I am benefiting from these 3 points here. Like I get better mastery, enhanced or endurance, and power from that mod. But it's the amplifier portion isn't doing me any good. Now see, this is what happens to you when you first get started at level 75. You've got all these things loaded in here, and you've got stuff, and you're hitting stuff, and you're doing damage and all this, but you're not really benefiting from the maximum level. Now, the truth be told, you can get by on just, you'll be fine. Yeah, if you're just doing weekly stuff and maybe making some veteran runs, not a big deal. But then when you go on the really harder stuff, you need every little bit of help you can get when you're up in those operations and the really hard versions of it. So this gives you an opportunity to start fixing that sort of thing up now as opposed to wait until later. So if you want to change one and you've got it open, we did a control right click on the helmet and we came over here to this, and I'm going to go ahead and do this because I really don't care. I mean, it's not going to hurt me any way or the other. It's just going to cost me a little bit of money, which, by the way, let's check and see what we've got here. Okay, we got 2 million credits, so we'll be good. Okay, so what happens is when you get this thing up here and you're looking at it, you could be looking at any of them. They'll tell you what they are when you hover over them. You can just right-click it, and another little message box comes up, and that box says recalibrate. Okay, recalibrate. Now you've got a couple of options in there, but first let's take a look at number one. It's telling you what you've got right now. So it's nice to know where you stand. Also, it's telling you how deep it's going to reach into your pocket if you click this button. It's going to cost you 20,170 credits in order to recalibrate your current modification or current amplifier on this particular mod. What that boils down to is you got a chance here to get something that's better. Now, I've heard a lot of different people talk about this. Some people will tell you, and I can't prove it wrong because it appears to be, for the most part, correct, but there are wild deviations to the way this thing works. In other words, like if you took 2 6-sided dice and you rolled them, the maximum number you could get is a 12, and the minimum number you could get is a 2. However, there's kind of a curve, it kind of goes up and then down, and at the top of that bell curve is like 6, 7, 8. Because you're going to end up rolling those numbers in the middle more often than you roll the numbers on the side. Now, this doesn't do that. What ends up happening is you could get just about anything anytime, and seems like no rhyme or reason to it. So I'm not entirely certain as to how they do their randomization, but it isn't a simple dice roll. It's nothing like that. So, but let's get back to that. Before you get started on that, you see what you've got. What could you possibly get? Well, let's take a look at that. If you go here and click on the potential amplifiers, that brings up another little list here, which shows you anything that could potentially come up. Now, as you can see, there are quite a few potentials in there. So, like, if you're like, I want that one, good luck with that. I hope it works out for you. It's possible that it will, but there's a lot of different stuff in there. Good luck. Um, so and we're gonna do this anyway. I'm gonna blow 20 grand and see what happens here, because we can go make that back up with a couple of kills. So let's just, for the sake of argument, find out what we've got available. Now, if you, before I go any further with this, on a positive note, they did put you a filter in here. So if you were looking for something in particular, like in some cases, there is something that you want specifically for your character because of what they do. Okay, like for example, let me see here. Oh, guess what? We're typing in the wrong thing here. So we'll get out of that real quick. But in here, I've got like my healing stuff that I'm starting to put together for my character there. So I've got a complete set down there. And some of the stuff that you want, see that one there, I definitely have to make edits to, because it's it's pretty important when you're healing to have all these things. Like for example, tech wizardry isn't going to do my Jedi healer a whole lot of good. As you can see, tech wizardry increases the damage dealt by tech attacks, and I'm not going to attack anybody, and I'm not using tech, so it doesn't benefit me. It's important to note that while we're looking at this, the armoring thing there will give you what we like to refer to, or I do, as damage-based or activity-based benefits. Like this here will help you in synth weaving and crew skills, but that's not really, that's not going to do any damage to anybody. The armoring item will. And so this is one of the reasons why, because you only have to have 6 items in a set, for example. Notice I don't have anything special here. Whenever you have a full set, you get 6 items, and then typically what you'll do at the other item is you're going to find yourself an amplified device, because the amplified device is going to provide this right here, which is a damage based thing. Like what happens is it increases the damage dealt by attacks that affect an area, and then you also get another one right up here in this piece of armor, another damage based or attack based benefit in the amplifier, wherein when we were looking at this other piece over here, this headpiece, it's headgear of it's part of a set, dire retribution or retaliation rather. When we right click it and take a look at it, I get this thing up here like PvP rewards, but if we take a look at it and then we right click it and then we come down here to potentials, we're not finding really anything in there that does any damage. All we're finding in here is like, oh, you can improve your cyber tech, you can improve your synth weaving, you can, crew skills, gathering, what have you. That kind of stuff is all in there. So regular armor, even the set armor, is only going to provide you these crew skills bonuses at the top here. But an amplified piece will not only provide you the amplified, the amplifier from your armoring in the way of an attack bonus, but you're also going to get a bonus right here in your armor itself. Like as we said here, we don't have that. And take a look back here at the amplified piece, and here it is. And then we take a look at its potentials, and you'll notice there's all kinds like alpha strike, armor penetration, force sensitivity, tech wizardry. Again, I didn't need that one. In my particular case, one of the things I'm looking at is like right here, aural rejuvenation. Increases the healing done by abilities that affect an area. I might be looking at that. And there's a green, you see? Now, you'll notice on the amplifier, it only goes green and blue. There aren't any purple and there aren't any yellow, okay? Or gold, as some people say. And that's okay. It's not as good as you can get from this slot right here, but it is better than having a crew skills bonus. And so what we do a lot of times is when we're putting our set together, you want to try to get all 6 of your set pieces, but you're going to want to try to find yourself an amplified champions item that you can stick in there in place of it. So like in my case, I need to run down to the old legacy storage cabinet and grab me a belt out of there that has the amplified version, amplified champion version of the belt. Since you're going to have an amplified champion version of belt, gauntlets, bracers, chest piece, headpiece, in this case robe, sounds like a guy wearing a dress there, and then boots rather. So all of the different pieces here, there's an amplified version of that, but there's also the set piece. You'll notice in the set piece that you can have 7 pieces in your set, but you only get so many points of benefit. Like for example, in mine, I don't even really need those last 2 set pieces to get all the benefits I possibly can out of that. So in this particular setting, and this is one of the things that a lot of people will do, because these sets right here don't require you to have to do as many different things or keep as many different different activities going. Like in some sets you got to do this, then this, then this in order for something to kick off. In the ones that only have like 2 things that they do, as you notice there, I get a +2 endurance, and I get force wave increases your defense by 5%, getting attacked during this time. So it really doesn't do huge benefits, but it's there. So what I could do, and what I should do actually, is take like 2 of the pieces from that set, get rid of them, and replace 3 items in there with an amplified piece, or get a 6-piece set and an amplifier. So that's an awful lot of stuff. Everybody's been drinking through a fire hose there for a moment, but let's go ahead and recap the whole thing real quick to make it kind of simple. I'm going to get rid of all of this stuff so we can kind of go into it one piece at a time, one thing at a time rather. And what we'll do is, if we were looking at our headpiece, we just turned 75 and we're putting our set together, and we got a piece that we want to use for our set. We right click it, control right click it. Again, you have to hit the control key and then hold the control key down and right click it. It comes up, and then we go to the item that we want to make changes on, which is this particular one here. Click on it. Brings up another window here, and of course you saw me, you can move these wherever it's convenient for you. Before we hit the recalibrate, we notice how much it costs. Now, I didn't mention this earlier, but it's important to note, every time you click that recalibrate, it's going to cost you a little bit more money, and it starts getting to be more and more and more every time after a certain point. So it can get costly. Just to give you an example, if you wanted to remove, like if you right click this mod, it's going to cost you 77,000 credits to remove it. 77,534 credits to remove this mod 80 item, which is a 306 item. So any of your 306 items is going to cost you about 78,000 credits. Okay? Well, I'm going to decline that because I just wanted to say that. But like, if you fix this thing up, like say how many times do you have to do this and not get what you want before you've hit 77,000? Well, 3. You're gonna, on the 4th time you've passed 77,000, and you've already spent like 80 and change. And the thing is it's going to go up every time you do it. And we'll do this a couple of times just so everybody can see it, because I got cash just rolling in. What the hey? So I want to make sure everybody can see that. Now, before you do that though, you may want to be looking at to see, well, what can I potentially get? Because I don't even want to waste my time if I can't get what I want, if it's not even on the list anywhere. So you can type what you're after in here. For example, in my character, I need to get, and there I went ahead and did it again. Hang on, I'll get the skills up. In my case, I might want an archaeology thing or synth weaving. So let's just try synth. So right there it is. All the synth weaving things came up. And so it's, if I do this, it's possible I could get a synth weaving item, you know, a synth weaving amplifier rather, to go along with my modification here. And basically what will happen is this mod won't be this anymore. It'll be whatever happens to come up. So let's go ahead and step up to the roulette table. You know, get ready to go. And we're going to, for those of you guys that like that sort of thing, I mean, this is a perfect thing. You're not going to be losing any real money, but you can do some gambling and everybody have a laugh on that. So we're going to hit this thing, which is recalibrate right here. And at that point, you're going to be asked a question, or you're going to get your answer right there. I went ahead and turned the thing off because I get tired of having to sit there. Yes, yes, yes. But the very first time you run this, you're going to be asked, do you want to do this or not? Because this is going to cost you some money. And so I turned that off because I do this a lot on this particular character. Now, you'll notice here we got a choice. We can go with successful treasure hunting at the same level as the successful slicing. Or we can go with influential, which is increases the amount of influence you have on your companions, or your companions gain rather from all sources. In my case, she's already at level 50, so it's not a big deal. But like if I was wanting to bump up other companions, that might be nice. Which takes you to a place that I've heard some of the guys talk about. They have suits that really don't do anything. They're not very good equipment, but or not special equipment, but what they do is their suit is designed, it's got nothing but influentials in it. And so they take their characters out on these runs and stuff, you know, to gather stuff for the weekly. Takes a little bit longer because the gear may not be as good, but not really that much longer. And so while they're out there, the character's getting a whole lot more influence. I don't know too much about that. I'm not even sure whether you benefit how much you benefit your character on a weekly run for daily type items, but that's what I hear. I've also heard people talk about how they have suits designed where only thing they get or only thing they have in there in the way of amplifiers is something to collect more resources and such. And that happens to be an amplifier also, you know, resource gathering. So, you know, these are people like when they collect resources, they get a lot of resources. And so, you know, these are the guys you see on there, the guy selling like 500 of something on the auction solution, the Galactic auction house. So, but at any rate, back to where we were, we have three choices. We can stay with what we have, you know, by just closing this, in which case, you sure you want to do that? Because you're going to blow 21 or 20 grand. Remember, it was 20,000 just a minute ago. Now it's 21 something now. And so, and it's going to keep going up every time you do this. And it's going to take that out of your pocket, regardless of whether, you know, you like it or not. Because there it is. You know, it's like we go down a little bit more. So in this particular case, increases the chance on treasure hunting and missions. I've been told that if you go down to a green, then the chances of going back up to this are lower. Again, I haven't really proven that, but so we have the choices of doing this or this. I've already paid for something. Here's my take on it. I've already paid for something. So like, unless this thing, if this came up with a yellow here and a purple here, and I don't need either one, I'm going with the yellow. And because of, maybe I'm superstitious, but that's what people are saying. Go with the higher skill, because when it rolls again, that's what it kind of bases itself out of. No reason to doubt it. I mean, these are guys that sit here and play like 24/7. I mean, they got like intravenous thing hooked up. Anyway, in this case, we're just going to go ahead and go with the one. It's not something I need. It really doesn't benefit me, but it is purple, and so I'm going to go with it. And when you do that, you're going to get this message here. You see this? Update this amplifier. Now that is one thing I would leave on. I would not turn this off, because if you click it by accident, there it goes. You know, you're on something new. So you got to update or cancel. I'm going to go ahead and update this one. and you'll see that now it says successful treasure hunter, and because we had this change for whatever reason, she decided to heal me. Go figure. So you can go ahead and do this again. You know, I mean, you can keep doing this till you run out of money. You know, and then you got to go back out and hit the streets. So let's just do it again for laughs. You know, get the wheel rolling. Get the guy with a little. Okay, he's gonna drop that thing in there, and then we're gonna hit this thing again, and we're gonna get. I see it went down to a couple of blue items. Successful archaeology, critical biochem. However, I actually could benefit from the successful archaeology, even though it is, instead of a purple, it's a blue, because if you take a look at my list of things here, archaeology happens to be one of them. And so in this particular setting, I'm going to go over here and I go update. And once again, you know, we got the message that said, hey, are you sure you want to do this? Now keep in mind, if we don't do anything and we get out, if you was to just back out by hitting the X, it's going to say, hey, look, you're spending the money anyway. Don't think you're getting out of this. When you hit recalibrate, you will pay. And so you better make sure that you want to do this before you get started. So I'm going to hit update. Now we're doing successful archaeology. And if you come over here and get out all of this stuff here, get out of that. Come over here to your amplifiers and you take a look. Get out of synth. You can like find out what your settings are, and this is where this really comes in handy right here. Is when you're looking at your character, and you just want to know what you have in the way of this thing. And so like you put in arc, and so we have a thing here of 1.50 archaeology, okay. And as you can see, it's on a chest piece. It's kind of hard to see, but they've got like a little icon that looks like a chest item. And then they got a head item, okay, like the one we just got. And then they got like, you know, what is that? Relic over here. Some relic has this, and pants have that. So like if you come back over here, or you know, your pant item, come back over here to this item here, it should have this, right, 135 successful archaeology on it. So you come back over here to this item, and right there it is on the mod, 135. Now you know it's going to be on the mod, because if it's a crew skill, it's on the mod. There aren't any amplifiers whatsoever on enhancements, not yet. Now it's possible that as the game advances, actually, it's very likely that as the game advances, that's what's going to happen. And then you only have the damage and benefit increase on the armoring item. So that's kind of the first pass of looking at how you can improve your amplifiers. And I'm going to cover another little tidbit here on the next video, how I like to cover them, how I like to do the mods to save a lot of money, and to kind of set myself up, if you have more than one character, to provide yourself with a whole lot better options, in my personal opinion, for the cost. So I'm going to be saying goodbye, and hope this benefited you in some way. And if it didn't, sorry about that.